Deese added, "We have to act and we have to show action on behalf of the American people, and that is exactly what the president is doing. He's bringing down prices and it's his top priority, and he's focused on practical things that he can do." Deese referenced the Biden administration's release of America's strategic oil reserves as evidence that the president is doing everything in his power to fight high prices. He said, "The release of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve sounds esoteric to people, but oil market analysts you've had on the show will say it was single-handedly responsible for keeping oil prices from going even higher." Biden recently blamed individual gas stations for the high price of gas, but Brian Deese also noted that Biden's call for a gas tax holiday in his defense. However, many have criticized the proposed gas tax holiday as ineffective in bringing down gas prices, given that such tax relief would increase demand and hence prices. Deese told Bloomberg, you need a president who's going to keep at it and is going to communicate clear to the American people that we are making progress, that we have had enormous economic progress, and that he is not satisfied and will stay at it." Biden's approval rating has floundered in his multiple polls amid Democratic doubts about his 2024 prospects. Now, the poll showed a major disparity between Americans who think the country is on the right track versus the wrong track. 46% of Democrats also believe the U.S. is not headed in the right direction. Americans were split 40% to 40% on whether they vote Democrat or Republican again. A tax credit aimed at giving a tax break to people with low to moderate income is also eligible people in Oregon several $100s over the next week or so. If you qualified for an earned income tax credit on your 2020 taxes and you were living in Oregon at the time, you might want to check your bank account or mailbox a little sooner than later. Thanks to a little state law passed earlier this year, lower income Oregon households that received the tax credit in 2020 will get $600 back through direct deposit or mail check. The Oregon Department of Revenue estimates that about 236,000 qualifying households should receive payments in about a week. The Department of Revenue said in a statement describing the payments that all direct deposits will be made and checks will be mailed this month. In passing the House bill, Oregon lawmakers mandated that money be paid out by the end of 2022 by the end of this month. And according to the Oregon Bureau of Labor and Industries, to qualify for the credit, taxpayers have to fit with certain income limits. For instance, a family with 2 children will have to earn no more than $53,000 annually. Oregon lawmakers approved spending the money out of the federal crisis aid funds approved by Congress in 2021. A spokesperson with Oregon Governor Kate Brown said the governor was pleased to sign the payments and help people in need.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it's good to see you, Chairman Goodlatte. I wanted to focus my comments on another part of sensitive data, which is face recognition technology. This is also an area where we've had a lot of bipartisan interest. There's a lot of sensitive personal information that is requested constantly from law enforcement, from both commercial brokers and state governments to surveil the public with face recognition technology. But face recognition technology is up to 100 times more likely to misidentify people of color, and there are very few guardrails in place to regulate the use. The unregulated application of this technology to our most sensitive information, our faces, is precisely why I introduced the Facial Recognition and Biometric Technology Moratorium Act, which presses a pause. It doesn't say never, but it presses a pause on unregulated government use of face recognition and biometric monitoring. This past year, the IRS planned to contract with ID.me, requiring anyone accessing their tax records online to upload images of their photo IDs and a live video of their face with a computer or a smartphone. And while the IRS ultimately abandoned this plan, ID.me still has contracts with 10 federal agencies and 30 states. And in fact, there's an entire market of commercial platforms that collect sensitive data from users to sell to the government. And because I want anybody who's watching this hearing to understand what pieces of data, I'm going to direct some questions at you, Professor Lambden, just on, you can just answer yes or no in terms of whether this information is available to the government. So the LexisNexis Digital Identity Network collects and processes people's online logins, payments, and new account applications. Is that information available to the government?
Yes.
Babel Street collects digital device location data derived from online advertisers and popular mobile apps. Is that information available to the government?
Yes.
Clearview AI uses facial recognition technology to harvest and store millions of photos from social media users across multiple platforms. Is that
Thank you very much, Chair DeLauro. for your indefatigable leadership of this committee in service to the American people. Thank you also to Ranking Member Granger, as well as the dedicated staff. Special plaudits to Ranking Member Simpson, a hardworking, serious member of Congress who devotes his considerable talents to real challenges facing our nation. Our 2023 Energy and Water Bill takes a significant step forward to secure American energy independence, to rebuild critical infrastructure, to restore scientific innovation, and to sustain life on our corner of Mother Earth. We meet at a time when Lake Mead, once the largest water reservoir in the United States, now is at record low levels due to a punishing western drought across 7 states that are sucking the Colorado River dry. London, England has experienced its hottest day at 104 degrees, and forest fires are raging now across Europe and in our nation as well. 6,600 wildland firefighters and support personnel are containing 85 large fires and complexes that have already burned over 3 million acres in 13 of our states. 14 new large fires have been reported, 7 in Texas, 2 in Alaska, 2 in Washington, and 1 each in Arizona, California, and Idaho. In addition, Putin's unjust war against Ukraine crystallizes how essential having a comprehensive energy independence strategy is for our nation, for our economy, and surely for our security. America has been making great progress since the Department of Energy was established in 1977. But we're not at home plate in energy independence. But with this bill, we are rounding second base and running hard toward third on our way to home plate. We are diversifying across many energy sectors that hold promise and are climate friendly. Advanced nuclear, hydrogen, solar and wind, but also thermal heat recapture, conservation, and so much more. In traditional sectors since 2010, oil production has doubled, and natural gas production is about 60% higher. But of course, those supplies are finite. We must advance to infinite energy sources for the long haul of our country and world. Our bill invests over $56 billion for America's energy and water priorities while supporting good-paying jobs across the country. Key investments include $48.2 billion for the Department of Energy, $3.3 billion above enacted within the Department of Energy as our citizens experience water shortages, wildfires, and fiercer weather events. Energy efficiency and renewable energy receives record funding of $4 billion. Yes, an $800 million increase above enacted. We live in